Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our first Quick Skills Workshop event of 2023. So we are so excited that you've decided to spend your Thursday evening with us. And it's just going to be a great time because we have an amazing bunch of speakers here and just a bunch of cool organizations who are excited to help you improve LinkedIn. So we are delighted to have two LinkedIn and IT career development experts joining us this evening. Ama Asantawa of the National Able Network IT Career Lab, and Lillian Cotter of Lillian Link. So whether you created a LinkedIn account years ago and haven't touched it since, or maybe you update your profile every 6 months, this workshop is designed to help you take the next steps to optimize your presence on LinkedIn while helping you reach your job search and networking goals. So this event is brought to you in partnership by the SciTech Internship Program and the Lewis Stokes North Star STEM Alliance as part of an ongoing career development series. If you're interested in tapping into our other free resources from our Quick Skills collection, then you can access them anytime from the Student Resources blog on our website. And I put that in the chat here, so let me send that out. It's got great things about how to craft the perfect cover letter, how to prepare for your interview, how to use the STAR method, if you've ever heard about that, to ace every single interview question you can possibly imagine. So check those out. If you enjoy what you see here today, there's lots more help to just keep improving yourself. So my name is Piper Cleveland. As I mentioned, I am the program director for the SciTech Internship Program. In case you're not familiar with SciTech, we are a free student resource designed to help STEM majors connect with Minnesota startups and small companies who are offering incredible hands-on internships in industry. All of the positions are paid on our site, and every job posting that you will see there comes with the hiring manager's direct contact information. So if you sign up for the program and you're looking around on the site and you find an opportunity that you'd like to apply for, it's as easy as sending an email to the hiring manager at the company to introduce yourself and schedule an interview. So if you're not already signed up for SciTech and you would love to find a paid internship for the spring or summer, definitely check us out, scitechmn.org. We'd love to help you find that next great opportunity. And to talk about the Lewis North Star STEM Alliance, I'm going to hand it over to Liz.
My name is Liz. I am the site coordinator for the Lewis Stokes North Star STEM Alliance. And just a little bit about our initiative. We are funded by the National Science Foundation and serve 16 colleges and universities across Minnesota. And here at the Twin Cities campus, we house our central administrative team. Our mission is to double the number of African American, Black, Hispanic or Latinx, Native American, Alaskan Native, and Pacific Islander students receiving bachelor degrees in STEM within a 5-year period. We also partner with 3M to provide that same support to Southeast Asian students. Next slide. And we commit to our mission in a number of ways. We support student achievement through tutoring, supplemental instruction, and study groups, as well as engaging students through faculty mentorship and research. This is probably our bread and butter, and I'd like to just highlight that we can provide paid research opportunities, so it's a really great experience. You can also explore career directions in industry and graduate school with us and build community through social networking and mentorship. And we also fund conference travel. And I will also put our website in the chat just for reference. But with that, I will hand it off to Lillian.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you guys so much for having me to talk about LinkedIn. It's what I spend all day, every day talking about because I'm obsessed with it. So I'm hoping that you guys are also finding this tool to be a powerful resource in your job search stuff. I am going to be focusing a lot on your profiles today and kind of how to optimize those. Then I'm going to reference a couple of things that Anna's going to go over when it comes to the actual search. So the first thing that I want to mention is, simply because it's easy, I'm using my profile today. My profile is over the top because I am literally a LinkedIn expert. It's my whole job. So I'm going to focus in on a lot of things that I think are going to be the most impactful for you guys to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to add those into the chat while I'm going through it. And then we can go through that during the Q&A portion, or Piper can interrupt me if there's a question that's confusing right now. So the first thing that I'm just going to go through from the very top kind of through down to the bottom, because I find that to be one of the easiest ways to talk about your LinkedIn profiles. But the very first thing that you're going to see, if you've finished your profile, if you've made a new profile, it's fairly easy to do. It works like any other social media platform. Often people will skip that cover image part when it comes to LinkedIn, or they call it a banner image on here. I would recommend not doing that. It just makes your profile look a little bit more complete. So a really fast way to get a great image for your LinkedIn cover is to use a tool called Canva. Canva is free. And with Canva, you can actually go in and utilize their existing kind of templates that they have and create something with the size in mind already. So you can just literally go into Canva. This is a free profile, so I didn't pay anything for this particular version of it. You go LinkedIn background photo. It's going to have the size that you need right there. It's going to have all these fancy templates. You guys probably don't need to use that. If you're a consultant, maybe you want to use that, but for the most part, I don't recommend it. So you can just go over into elements and search for, like, let's say you just want to use the Minneapolis skyline. That's a really easy one to do, and it'll come up with a bunch of images that you can pull from there. So any that have this little pro piece there means that you have to actually pay for it. So you can filter those to a free version if you want. There's a couple of options that are usually the free versions for that. But if for whatever reason you don't want to do a city skyline, another great option is just, like, you can search for desk. It's one that I use a lot. And that will often have like aesthetic pictures of desks. And you can just use that, set it as the background, and then that's the right size, download that. Great, you got it. Like, you don't need to worry that hard about it. It's not something that needs to be particularly fancy. It just needs to be done. So that's a very quick way to create one of those. And then you just add the image here, upload it. You can crop it, adjust things, all that stuff within the platform. So if you have a picture of the skyline you like, the main reason I recommend using Canva is if those images are free on there, you don't have to worry about accidentally stealing an image or anything like that. Where if you just Google Minneapolis skyline, you're probably violating some copyright rules, and it's just easier to not bother with that. So that's the very top there. Then you can see the profile picture. You can also in here add a frame. So you can go in and add open to work as a frame that you want to put right on your profile. So that's a great opportunity particularly if you're a student getting close to graduating, or maybe you're looking for an internship or something like that. That's just a great way to kind of flag visually on your profile that you're looking for a new position. I'm not going to keep that there. But those are kind of the two big pieces of that visual at the very top. The next thing, and this is where we get into what I'm going to be referring to a lot, which is SEO. So just search engine optimization. Lots of people who have heard that term will think of it in terms of just Google. But when I'm saying that here, I'm actually referring to the search engine on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk a lot, or actually Anna's going to talk a lot later about how you guys are going to be searching on LinkedIn, but you also want recruiters to find you. So that's going to be one of the big things that I'm balancing out as we look at your profile. Is you want your profile to serve two functions. You want it to get people onto your profile, recruiters, hiring managers, those sorts of people. You want finding you. And then once they get there, you also want your profile to look really good and tell the story that you want it to tell. So your headline, those images and that visual is going to be the first piece of that, but that headline is going to be the most important piece when it comes to SEO. So you can see that mine probably doesn't look like yours unless you've already customized it, because this headline defaults to your current position. So it's going to have your job. So for example, mine would be marketing consultant at Lillian Link would be all that would say. And there's no problem with that. It's going to show, I'm going to show up for marketing consultant. It's not actively doing damage to my reputation, but it's not getting people to land on my page. So you can see here that the most important thing I want to show up for when people search is LinkedIn expert. So you can use up to 220 characters here, and you can use another tool that I like to use a lot. There's a little guy trying to keep me from clicking on that. There we go. Which is wordcounter.net. It is a very basic website. If you literally just Google word count, something like this will pop up. And it will count out the characters as well as the number of words in anything. So this is generally where I actually write those headlines, is I'll just go in here and type that out so I'm not reworking it in that space. Also, if you use a tool like Grammarly, which I won't go into, but is my favorite thing on earth, you can also, it will utilize it kind of within this little section. So you can go in here and let's say you can see these different sections that I've written out are just sort of a dump of keywords, which you'll start to be able to pick out in those job descriptions what keywords for your industry are that I have put together in a way that is descriptive of me. So digital communications is something that people are often searching for when they look for the kind of things that I do. Content marketing and strategy are things that people are looking for. Obviously, you guys are going to have really different terms for that. And that's where looking at some of those job descriptions and optimizing it based off of the terms that they are using. Pick 5 jobs that are your these are my dream jobs. These are the jobs that are perfect. This is exactly the kind of job that I want. And pick out what are the words that those people are using. What are the job titles those people are using? What is the experience they're looking for? And that's going to come back in a lot of the different points that we're talking about in your profiles, because you want to optimize it to your job search. You want to optimize it to what they are looking for so they will show up on your page. And then you just want to write this so that it doesn't sound like a crazy robot wrote it. You want to write it so that if a human being read that, it sounds like a human being wrote it. So not that robots aren't getting really good at that, but that's a different side note conversation. So again, I would say this, you want to lean a little bit more heavily on the search, because like I said, that is the most important part here. I'm just going to mention, this is a specific piece because I have a creator profile. You guys shouldn't be changing your profiles to creator profiles. Just keep them as regular standard LinkedIn profiles. Then some of this other stuff, again, I'm not really going to talk about a featured section. If you have a lot of work that has been published in some way, you can add that. It's fairly easy to do. Again, I'm going to skip over activity because that's a whole other conversation that we're not going to go into. So the next piece here that I want to talk about is your about section. So an about section is something where you can spend a lot of time on that. If you're spending a lot of time writing things like cover letters and putting together a summary for a resume and all that other stuff, you probably have something that works for this. But I also don't want this to be a barrier for you finishing this stuff. I know that writing an about section can be something that's a huge time suck. It does not have to be. So if you don't have an about section on your page right now, there's a really easy formula that I use to write a 2-second sentence about section. Your first sentence is going to be either what you're doing now or what you want to do. So a description of like the position that you're looking for, or the kind of industry that you're looking to work in, or the kind of degree program that you're in, or whatever it is. And then the second sentence is going to be a little bit about kind of how you got there. So for example, mine would be, I am a marketing consultant who helps people optimize their LinkedIn. I have been working in B2B marketing for 10 years. In digital communications and social media. So like that, you can see that I'm telling that really quick story, and that took 30 seconds and I literally made that up right now. So having something when it comes to an about section is better than nothing. And then if that's a great place to come back to once you've really optimized your profile and spend some more time on when you're writing something like a cover letter, when you're doing something like writing a summary or answering something. I know sometimes they have questions like that on interview things. That's a great time to go back and take some more time to write something there. But when you're first going through to optimize it, something's better than nothing. Do something quick, 2 seconds, that'll be ideal. 2 sentences, not 2 seconds, that would be wild. So the next thing here is experience. There's a lot of different things within experience that we're going to talk through. But the biggest thing that I would say here is make sure that you include all of your experiences. So lots of times I'll hear people, particularly college students, be like, well, I worked in catering at this, at my school, but I didn't really think that that counted as a job. It's not really relevant to what I'm doing here. And I think anybody who has worked in anywhere ever knows that having a job is better than having not had a job. And so putting any experience that you have on there, all internships, anything that could be close to a work experience. Sometimes you can even put projects that you've done for a class. If you partnered with an organization, or if you have a professor who's doing some type of research, you could talk to them about including that as an experience. So you want to make sure that you have everything. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the way that it looks when people land on your profile. And two is LinkedIn is primarily, more than all social media does this to an extent, but LinkedIn does it more than any other platform, is about networking. So it is about finding connections between you and other places. And you having that experience will make those recruiters have potentially more connections with you. You never know if you and that recruiter both worked at the same fast food restaurant, or if they know someone who interned at the same place that you interned at, or anything like that. So by having those connections, LinkedIn is going to prompt that. Every time somebody goes to look at your profile, and they'll be like, you're in the same group with someone. You both worked at this place. You both volunteered here. So you want to make sure that you include all of that in here. Another thing that I want to make sure to reference here is your job titles. So I know I said that your headline is the first most important thing for SEO. Your job title is the second most important thing. So one piece that I always like to talk about there is you want to make sure that your job title actually means something. So I highlight this because this is my example of a title that means nothing. My title, they gave me a nonsense title because they wanted to sound fancy. I was a product content administrator. I was a technical writer there. Now I have no interest in working as a technical writer again, but if I did, this would not be helpful to helping me find a position as a technical writer. So what I would recommend doing is put your actual title and then your functional title. So you would do something like product content administrator and then add a comma and then put technical writer afterwards. That way, if somebody calls that place and to verify your employment there, they're going to say, yes, she was here. She was a product content administrator. And then if they ask more details, that person could probably verify that that is functionally a technical writer. So I know with a lot of interns that will happen a lot. So if you're, you have an internship with a particular title, but functionally you want it to be more leaning towards something different, you can add both of those in there. And you can still see that I still have my internships on there. So I'm not kidding when I say include everything on there. Also with these, adding a sentence or two about what you do or what you did, if that's something you probably have on your resume. If you have it in bullets on your resume, you absolutely can keep it in bullets on your profile. But I generally recommend, as best practice, changing that to a sentence format or a paragraph format. Don't spend a ton of time on it. And whatever you do, do it consistently. So if you're going to change it to sentences, change it to sentences all the way through. But similarly to the about section, it's better to have something than nothing. So make sure that whatever it is that if it's going to be easier and faster to just copy paste off your resume, just copy paste off your resume. So you can have a little bit more detail there. And it may end up affecting SEO as well. That is probably one of the lower ends on SEO, but I will also say LinkedIn loves when you complete your profile. So you are more likely to show up in search when you have a completed profile than when you have blank spaces on your profile. Because that's what LinkedIn wants. Education, again, I would recommend including all your education. If you went to some tiny little high school and you don't have anything you want to say about it, you probably don't have to reference your high school on there. I do because I went to a massive high school with thousands of people, and I want to utilize that as a way to build more connections. So that's the reason why I particularly have my high school tagged on here. Something else that you will notice in all of these is a lot of my experience and a lot of my education have these logos with them, right? That's the profile picture of the actual page. So I've actually tagged, when you go in here, you can actually see that I'm Concordia College. So that is, I've tagged my school's profile in that. If, however, you can't tag something in it. So for example, you can see under a certification here that organization just does not have a LinkedIn page. It's going to show up with these two little buildings. That changes frequently on LinkedIn, this sort of like neutral option that they have there. But right now it's these two, I call them little buildings. They're technically just squares. Those are, you want to make sure that anytime you can tag an organization, you do. So whenever possible, try to tag that organization so that it shows up with that logo, because again, that's how it's building those connections. So if you worked at Burger King for a summer, make sure you're tagging Burger King so that you can have shared experiences with people. I know I'm going through a lot of this really fast, so I hope you guys are putting in any questions that you have. But so education, you want to fill all of that out. If you have any activities that you did, any certifications that you got through that don't have some sort of outside thing, it's great to reference those in the body of your education. Again, anytime you can add something, the more information you put on here, the more information LinkedIn has to get you in front of people. Certifications are another really great thing. If you have anything like that, I know that there's a lot of, when it comes to STEM stuff, I'm not a STEM expert, I'm a LinkedIn expert, but when it comes to STEM stuff, I know there's lots of different types of certifications that you can get. Make sure that any of those are added on here. And if it's associated with a particular organization, again, you want to be tagging it to that organization. The next thing is volunteering. Again, that's another great opportunity to add any volunteering you've done through school, any volunteering that you've done through other types of organizations. Again, this is a place and an opportunity to build connections and build more shared experiences with people. So if you did one day volunteering at this organization, maybe it's Feed My Starving Children, I know is one that a lot of times people will work with. Go ahead and put that in here. Just put in the description why you care about that organization and the fact that you only volunteered there one day. It's helpful for you. It's helpful for the organization. It's a great thing to just add in there to fill out more opportunities to connect with people. So that's the last piece on these experiences. I'm going to go through the skills next, which is a little bit more on the filtering side, which you'll see that when we go into the job descriptions, when Amma goes into the job descriptions, you'll see all of that stuff. But I also want to mention recommendations on LinkedIn are great and helpful. If you have people who are writing you like a reference letter for something else, it might be good to just ask them like, hey, would you mind putting this on my LinkedIn too? Recommendations are becoming slightly less important. Because lots of the jobs that you're applying for, if they want those, they're going to ask for a reference specifically, but it never hurts to have that stuff on here. So similarly to some of the other things I've talked about, don't spend a ton of your time on this. It's not worth a lot of energy. But if you're getting a recommendation letter from someone, that's a great opportunity to also get it publicly on your LinkedIn. I have a lot of these, again, as I referenced at the beginning. I'm a LinkedIn expert. It's important for me to demonstrate that on LinkedIn, where it may not be quite as important for you guys, but having one or two is particularly helpful. Make sure that you include every single thing that you can on here. The last one is just languages. So if you speak more than one language, even if they have different levels of proficiency that you can put in there. So maybe you speak super basic, you took 2 years of Spanish in high school, put that on there. Say that's better than nothing. And just say that you have really limited experience with Spanish. So that whatever those languages are, just make sure you're including those. So skills have a lot of different opportunities to put different types of things in here. Skills is one of the areas that LinkedIn is actually developing a lot. So they're adding a lot of new features into skills recently, but a skill is one. We talked at the beginning when we were talking about the headline of finding 5 jobs that are like the perfect job for you. You're gonna see, I'm sure, where you can see what sorts of skills they're referencing in those job descriptions. So making sure that you have those skills in those job descriptions listed on your LinkedIn. Skills are used primarily by recruiters as filtering. So they are going to use it as a way of saying, they're going to go search for all of these different things. They're looking for an intern who, or a professional who has experience in XYZ. And they go search and they come up with 1,000 results in the state of Minnesota. They're going to want to narrow that down to the people who are more likely to fulfill that role. So if you have those skills listed or demonstrated on your LinkedIn profile, that is going to be more likely to get you those. So there's a couple of things with that. First of all, there's 50 skills, use every single one, and you can change them whenever you want. So you can go ahead, find those 5 jobs, put those skills in, just fill up all 50, and then do your best to make sure that they are the ones that are actually optimized for your, oops, sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong edit button. So embarrassing for me. So you're going to want to make sure that they're listed with ones that are actually the search term. So for example, you're going to want, when you actually go in to add those skills, I'm going to just pull one of these off so I can, sorry, I've got all the like Zoom stuff up here, so I couldn't see the delete button. I'm just going to delete editing for right now so that I can go in and add another skill. Keeps popping back down there. So this is where it's going to have all of these like prompts of different skills that they think based off of my profile. These are also good because they're going to be prompting the recruiters as well. So it's better to pick something that's been prompted, even if that means, so for example, I want editing again. So let's say I had been putting in video editing or copy editing, like this way it can give me something a little bit more specific, where editing isn't necessarily that specific, but editing is a pretty generic skill for me, where content strategy is a more specific one. It will also give you an opportunity to add the experience where you got this experience from. This is a fairly new feature that LinkedIn has. If you've already filled out your skills, you don't need to take a ton of time on this again. But again, if you're looking for a way to build up your profile, if you just want something to do and you've got the time, go ahead and go through and add all of these for all of your skills. But it's more important to have the skill than it is to have it associated with all of your positions. And just so you know, it will show up higher up on your profile as that skill associated with that experience. So I know I've talked a lot about this. I think it's going to make a lot more sense when you go look at those job descriptions when Amma goes through that. But that's kind of that's the big stuff. And I know I went through a lot of information here really quickly. As Piper mentioned at the beginning, this is being recorded, so you'll be able to go through all of this again, kind of as you're making changes to your profile. This is not intended to be super pluggy, but I think these are resources that are helpful. If you go to my profile or my website, I also have an article on how to improve your LinkedIn profile, and then one specifically about how to write an about section. That's for if you're taking the time to write something a little bit longer. So those are resources too that you can come back to when you're going to actually make these changes. But that's all of the stuff that I have. And I hope that it was helpful and not just a bunch of words thrown at you really quickly.
Okay. Okay. Hi guys. So I'm gonna share my screen with you guys real quick. Okay. Hey guys. So my name is Amma Santua, and I actually work for IT Career Lab here. I help students get jobs in end user support. So more like IT, help desk, service technicians. So I show my students on a daily basis how to actually dive into a job search and how to optimize it so it works for them, instead of just blindly going out there and just hoping something sticks to the wall. So first, I want to just talk about how to do a targeted job search. I think once you're diving into like, okay, I'm ready to go into employment, I'm looking for a job. I think you need to start thinking like Lillian said, think about five jobs that career job fields that you want to go into. So think about like the type of organization, like is there an industry that you prefer? research research the companies in that industry, see if they align with you, see how well they match with you. Always looking at a job company's mission statement and culture is really a big one. I think that's how I ended up at IT Career Lab. Their mission statement was to help to elevate people to be their best selves, and that kind of, you know, went well with me. And I was like, okay, I think this company, I can really see myself working there. We spend a lot of our time at work, so I feel like you should really feel connected to the company that you want to work for or you're seeking out. And then you want to kind of look at, you know, your desired position, like location and size. I work for a very small team. This is my first time being on a very small team. And I realized I really like working on a small team versus working on a team that's like 25, 30 people. I work on a team of 4. It's like the smallest team I've ever been on, but I love it. There's so many like pros to working on a small team, and there's some cons. So think about yourself, of like who you are and what you want to do, what type of team size you want to be in. Those things are really important. And then, you know, review the job posting, the level of position and hours, you know, like work-life balance. Is it really important to you? Like how many hours do you want to work a week? Do you have a kid? Do you have a dog? Do you help volunteer on the weekends? Where are you at? Do you want to be a senior position? You know, when you're up there, that takes a lot of time in from you. Or do you want to be mid-level? Do you want to be associate? Like think about those things of yourself, what you really want from your desired position. Those are some really great conversations to have with yourself while you're like, okay, I'm about to get into the work. I want to get into applying for jobs. I want to get into the job field. I want to do this job search. These are some really great questions to ask yourself and talk to yourself about. And then I'm going to go back and forth through LinkedIn. So I'm going to show you guys how to optimize those filters of desired field, travel time, availability, level, position, and, you know, benefits. Because, you know, those are some really important things to think about. Everybody has different things that they need in their life, and your job should offer those to you. This is just kind of what your LinkedIn should look like. You should click the little job on the briefcase right here. Once you click it, you're going to type in a job that you're looking for. So I know most of you guys are in the STEM industry, so I was kind of looking up some jobs in STEM today, trying to see what would be good out here. So you want to just type in the job that you're looking for. 1 second, let it load. And I'm going to teach you guys how to put on some really good filters for you guys so that, you know, you're getting jobs that are targeted to you and what you need for yourself. So first you want to click here. Obviously mine is set to jobs, but let's say that you are looking for people in your field, or you're looking for posts, or you're looking for specific companies or schools. Events is a really good one. That's a really good way to find networking events in your field, hiring events, things like that. If you click this, it will also help you, you know, find people who are in that same silver engineer position. You can find events that are targeted towards you, so you're not blindly just going to hiring events and networking events for people who are artists versus somebody who's in STEM. And then here you want to, this is called the date posted. So when did they post this job posting? Anytime you can click that. You could put in the past week, which I'm going to click here and see that shows like 30K jobs were posted in that week. You can click show, so then it will narrow down your search. And this is what I was talking about, level of experience. What level of experience do you want? Do you want an internship? Are you looking for an internship? Are you looking for entry level job? Are you looking to be associate, mid-level, senior, director, executive, anything as that? I'll keep it entry level for today. See 10, it's narrowing down the level of jobs that are out there. So 10K results. We went from 30K to 10K. And then if you have a desired company that you're looking for, if there's a company that you always wanted to work at, like Optum or Wells Fargo or anything like that, if there's a company that you always had your eyes set on, and that's just your dream position, that's your dream company, put them in here. Also, you can always add a company in here if it doesn't show up. So just know that, like, if there's a company you've been eyeing for years and it doesn't show up here, you can always type them in and add them in here. And then when you go to type a job, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to be full-time? Are you looking to be part-time, contract, temporary, volunteer, internship, other? You know, be honest with yourself, what you're looking for, work-life balance, think about those things, and you can put a filter on for that. Do you want to be on site? Do you want to be remote? Do you want to be hybrid? I'm going to move you guys on top here out of my way. And then Easy apply. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. Easy apply means that you're going to be applying with your LinkedIn profile. So everything that Lillian went over, making sure that your job description and your job experience section is really important if you're going to do the easy apply, because that means that they're going to be pulling all the information off of your LinkedIn as a resume when you do the easy apply versus if you are just, you click a job and it's taking you to their website. And then if you don't want to do all these little tiny filters one by one, you can select all the filters at once and go through here, and it will show you company, it will show you job type, on-site or remote, location. That's very important. Let's say you want to move, you want to relocate, or you want to stay in Minnesota, make sure you click your location. Industry, we're going to click civil engineer for today. Job function, you can see there's different types of like things that'll be associated with it. You can add job functions in here. Titles, this is really cool, I think. So when it says under 10 applicants, it means that less than 10 people apply to the job, which shows that you have like a really good chance of being seen by that recruiter. Sometimes there's jobs where hundreds of people apply for it, and your chance of being seen might be a little bit less. So you can always choose to pick a job, only to have jobs show up to you that show like less than 10 applicants. So less than 10 people have applied to it. In your network, which Lillian was talking about earlier, is making sure you're tagging your job, your school, your previous work position. That shows in your network, and that means when you have that on, that means it will show you for jobs that you have connections to people there. So maybe you want to get a referral from somebody there, you want to look for another way into the company. Showing people in your network, that's how that happens. Fair chance employer means, that they hire anybody from the LGBTQ community, diversity, anything like that. If that's really important to you, click that. That will show a fair chance employer, but I feel like everybody should be one now. And if you are looking for a certain salary, make sure that you go in here and also set that. If you have a salary goal, you have something that you want to make, set that in there. And this is what I was talking about for benefits. Everybody has different needs in their lives and different aspects in different times in their lives. So if you need a 401k, if you need paid maternity leave, if you need disability insurance, those are some things that you should talk to yourself about. Not every company offers everything, and being aware that you can kind of pick the job that fits your lifestyle is really important. So make sure if you need something specific like health insurance, dental, or something like that, make sure you put those things in there. You will find a job that probably will offer all those things to you while you're on your job search journey. So I'm gonna go through here real quick, and I'm gonna pick a job that, here, we're gonna just click this one. This is not in Minnesota. Let's put this in Minnesota first. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys kind of how to read a job description real quick, so that you can take some key pointers away from when you're like going out and searching jobs, so that knowing that not every job description is the same, it's not always going to fit you. How do you know that this job really fits what you need? Clearly on the top, it shows that you're going to be a project manager. Collaborative Designs, that's just the name of the company. Where is it located? Minneapolis, Minnesota. The job was posted 2 days ago. There's 26 people that have applied to this, which I think that's still a fair number. You still have a good chance. This is a full-time position. There's 11 to 50 people that work at this company, which I was telling you, what is your desired size of company that you want to work at? Do you want to work at a small company? This is a fairly small company. So 11 to 50 people, that's not, I would consider it to be a small company. This is going to be the recruiter. His name is Brian. He's hiring for this job. So maybe you have a connection to him, or you want to reach out to him. That's a good way to figure out that. And then here goes the skills section that Lillian was talking about earlier. They're looking for somebody who has Microsoft planning and project management. And when you click more, it will bring up anything else that you need for those skills. So then if you don't have those skills on your profile, and you know that you have those skills on your profile, go back to the skills section. Lillian just showed you how to use that, add those skills in, it'll make you, once you apply, it'll boost you up and it'll show that like, hey, you have those skill sets, you're gonna hit bing, bing, bing. And they're like, I need to talk to that this person. And then obviously it shows easy apply. So that means you can apply with your LinkedIn profile. You can always save it. Let's say you're like, okay, I need to make sure my profile looks a little bit better. This is a good way to save this position, save this job description, and then you can come back after you like touched up some things here. You can always message the recruiter. I will be talking about that in the second portion of being an active user in LinkedIn and how to actively apply for jobs. But hey, once you apply, always shoot out a message saying something about yourself, what you currently do, and what you can bring to the position. That's a really good way. Read about the job description, what they're looking for. They're looking for somebody with communication skills, leadership skills. And when you're like, when you're looking at these job descriptions, put those into your header title. Like, are you a great communicator? Do you have leadership skills? Are you organized? Can you problem solve? You want to put that into your about section. Like, I have 5 years of heavy customer service skills. I'm thinking of this on the fly, but you can add it into your about section, highlight those transferable skills that you're going to bring into your next job. It's a great way to utilize what these recruiters are looking for, especially if you have your five jobs that Lillian was talking about, and they're all saying the same thing, that they're looking for somebody with communication, organization skills, problem solving skills. Find a way to incorporate that into your about section about yourself. Like, hey, I do this currently. I'm in school for this. I will be graduating with this, and I have these transferable skills in this. So always highlight it. Don't ever think that just because you worked at Burger King that you don't have skills that relate to a job in civil engineer. You had to be timely. You had to be organized. You had to probably lead a team. You had to have a positive attitude at Burger King. How can I help you today? Do you want fries with that? That is a good thing. Even if somebody's making you mad, that's a transferable skill. And I think that's what Lillian was trying to touch in. Like, don't think that any job is too small or it doesn't offer value to your next job. You can always pull something from something. So look at that and make sure you incorporate that and show those skills and highlight those skills in your about section. And then next, what do you need to know for this role? Look at these things too. Once you kind of dive into these are some keywords that you can definitely put into your description as well. These criteria that they have usually will be repetitive as you keep on looking for the same job over and over. You're going to see that there's a certain skill set they're going to keep on wanting. And once you see a word kind of popping up more and more, or a task, if you don't understand it, look up that task, see if it really makes sense, if it makes sense to you. And if you have that skill, add it to your LinkedIn as well. And then experience you bring. I always say this about a job: don't let the amount of experience really deter you from applying to a job. Just know that, like, it says 4 years of proven work experience, right? Like I said, you worked at Burger King, you were on that line, you were a manager, you have proven work experience, you know how to handle a customer, you know how to problem solve. So don't say like, oh, I'm just newly out of college, I don't have 4 years experience, who's gonna hire me? Well, highlight those transferable skills. Don't let the 4 years of experience take you away, because you have 4 years experience and those skill sets from other backgrounds that you can use into your next job. That's just something really good to highlight. I know that always deters people, even myself, when I was on my job search trying to get in as a business development manager. I'm like, I don't have 5 years of business development experience, but I have client relations experience. I know how to problem solve. I know how to do these things. I have strong client facing and teamwork skills. So just know that you can highlight those. So don't let 4 years really deter you. And then education, they're just looking for somebody with, undergrad in project management, biomedical, engineering, things like that. Make sure you have the education, the level of it. But I've seen people finagle that as well. Sometimes your job experience really can boost you up to another level. And then it shows you the industry. Like I was telling you guys before, think about the industry that you really want to go into. Do you want to go into medical devices? Do you want to go into consumer? Do you want to go into industrial? But if you're kind of confused about how that fits with civil engineer, look it up, see what industrial is, see what medical, like what a typical day is for somebody who works in the medical device field, see if that's something you really want to do, because we spend a lot of time, we spend about 90% of our week at work. You should love what you do. You should love where you're going. You never want to be in a car driving and hating your job every day. So make sure that the industry that you're going into really serves your purpose. And the last part, it shows that what type of employment this is. It's full-time. And then you can see how other applicants compare to you. Obviously, I'm not going to be the best applicant for this because it's pulling my profile. I only have 50% of, I'm at 50%. I guess 50% is not that bad, but I probably want to be like 80, 90. And application seniority level, you can go through this. I feel like this is kind of new, so I'm not the best with how to read this, but you can definitely see how you measure up to other candidates. And then other companies that are hiring. About this company, I always say do research on the company, like I was saying before. Make sure that their mission statement goes along with who you are. Make sure their culture fits you. You're spending a lot of time there. You want to love the place that you're going to work to every day. They don't show benefits on here, but if they, usually it's always at the bottom here. And if you are looking for certain benefits, that's when I'm going to say look through those benefits and see if they offer you what you need. And let me move this around. I'm going to try to go back to the slide. Oh, that was more simpler this time, guys. And as I was saying, so that is just like the traditional way of applying for jobs, is directly going to the position, getting a referral. And now I really want to cover the other two tiers of how to apply for a job. That's not the traditional format. And it's getting a recommendation for somebody who's on the hiring team. It's getting a recommendation directly from the hiring manager. And I'm going to show you guys how you can do that. Like I kind of covered it earlier, once you apply for that job, the person who's hiring for that job, once you apply, if you send them a message, that is like direct way of being actively on LinkedIn and reaching out to a recruiter and getting that recommendation, right? Because if you send that message to them, hey, my name is this such and such, I have experience in this, I have background in this, and this is what I could bring to your team, he could directly put that's a direct recommendation. He can put you right on top. So next slide. There. So how do you become active on LinkedIn to utilize those last two tiers of getting a direct hire, a direct referral from a hiring manager or a hiring team? Become active on LinkedIn. Create posts. Create posts about your field. If you're interested in civil engineer, if you see something that's happening in the community, create a post, have active engagement, because recruiters, when they're looking at your page, they see your activity. They will see that you're making posts about it. They see that you're submersing yourself in the STEM industry. Comment on other people's posts. If somebody's looking for a job, you can share your job experience and stuff like that. People will see your post that way. They'll see that you're actively looking for jobs, or you're diving deep into the STEM industry. Sending message to similar interests as you. So if you see somebody that has hiring on there and they're in the STEM industry, sending them a message, or they can show you to connect you with somebody else who's hiring. They can tell you about jobs or future jobs that are coming up. That's a really good way to utilize that. Utilize your search bar. I will show you guys this in a couple seconds. Type in your desired position and add hiring to the end. And you will see recruiters pop up for that in that industry who are actually hiring, and you can directly reach out to them. Look for keywords. I'm hiring, we're hiring in their tagline. And like the last one I kind of covered a couple times, sending a request. Create a personal invite that starts with a buffer that includes your background, and then end it by mentioning their job and the relevant experience that you have to the job. And I will escape out here and show you guys real quick how to utilize the search bar. So I kind of typed this in earlier. So let's say civil engineer, and then no. Okay, maybe I just need to do it in total. So we're going to type in civil engineer hiring. And once it pops up, you look at the second person. Her name is Jennifer, and what does it say? We're hiring. So this is actually an actual company that's hiring. So once you go to Jennifer's page, you can see that she's hiring. You can see the company she works at. And you can actually directly reach out to her. And that's a way to do an active job search on LinkedIn, and how to actively be a part of the LinkedIn search versus doing, the traditional way of just applying. And maybe once you reach out to her, you give her that buffer statement, you say why you want to work there. She will send you an application, or she will directly link you with a recruiter in that position. And that is all for me today. Thank you guys. I know I was a little bit nervous, but it was fun.
Thank you so much, Amma, and thank you, Lillian. If you guys have any additional questions, I know we covered so much amazing tips here today. So if there's something you want to know more about, feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'll read them aloud, and then Lillian and Amma can address those directly. I think as we wait, in case everyone's like typing, or you have to think about more things that you'd like to know about, I wonder, since we have a few minutes left before we're scheduled to end, one thing that both Lillian and Amma, you touched on is, this idea of it's about who you know, and how to use LinkedIn not only as a job search tool, like actively in that way, but maybe almost like passively as a networking tool. So I wonder, is there any initial tips you can give when it comes to how to build your network through LinkedIn?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest thing that I always recommend is, and this is particularly true if you're somebody who just started your LinkedIn, or maybe it's not something you spend a lot of time on, is turn it into part of your routine. So you don't want to do a dump of like send 100 requests in a day, because LinkedIn will flag that as spam, and do what I've had a lot of clients refer to as put you in LinkedIn jail. So you won't be able to add anymore, but you can do essentially the same thing by just adding 10 people every day. So LinkedIn will prompt you with potentially people that you might know. I recommend start with people that you know, and you might be like, well, I don't know a lot of people who are in professional situations, but you know a lot of people, right? So you could send a LinkedIn request to everybody whose lovely face is on your screen right now, because all of our names are listed. And you can say, just add that little note when you go to add someone, and connect with them and say like, hey, I saw you at this webinar today. It was so great. I would love to connect. And then that adds to your network. When you're thinking about a LinkedIn network, you're going to have this core of what I think of as first connections. I always think of that as your core. Then the next circle around that is second connections. And then there's third and third plus. So you want to grow starting from the people that you know in your first connections, and then you can start adding those second connections. So targeting those companies and other things like that. So if you're currently in any sort of education program, add all of your professors, add everyone who's ever come in and guest spoke at something, like add just a little note about how you saw them at this thing to trigger in their mind why you're not trying to spam them. You actually have met them before. Add all of your classmates, because they're all probably going to go work in the same industry as you, and they're going to be off at all of these other companies. Start by doing like 5 to 10 a day, or you can set up 30 minutes once a week and add 20 people, right? Like just start doing it from there, and then it'll grow from that point.
Yeah, like for what I said, commenting on posts. That's a really good way to become active, being an active user on LinkedIn instead of being passive. I have tried to get better at this as well, because the more like IT posts and tech posts I'm commenting on, the more those kind of jobs are coming towards me, the more people with similar interests is coming to me. It's an algorithm. So the more that you're putting yourself in that industry and immersing yourself in that industry, the more it's going to give you information about that industry. So I found that one, if you make a post yourself, don't think that somebody doesn't feel the same way. post about it's my first day starting the STEM job. I'm a little bit nervous. And I'm pretty sure somebody will comment back like, I remember my first day as a civil engineer and how nervous I am. And now I'm 20 years in and it's this and keep on going. But that person who comment, right, they have 20 years of experience. So after you build some experience and you made this connection with this person, that person might help you with your next position, or they might refer you to your next thing. So becoming active on LinkedIn, you're building this community of people who are also civil engineers or have similar interests, or you can go out to even with somebody commenting on your post and they said they feel nervous about something or they've been in the industry or they understand where you are, you can reach out to that person now for coffee. And you could go out for coffee and learn a little bit more about civil engineering and the path that they took to get to where they are. You'll be so surprised about how many people want to share the wealth of knowledge that they have. And how many people actually want to be a mentor to people, and how many people actually want to help somebody else along because they know the journey it took for them to get to where they are. So, it's nerve-wracking to put yourself out there to make a post or to comment on somebody's post because you think you might not sound professional, or somebody might not relate to you, but somebody does relate to you and somebody will understand it and somebody will want to help you. So be like, making those little comments, making those little posts really can help also make you an active user on LinkedIn and build your community as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Speaking as almost sort of a quasi recruiter myself, since I attend all of the career fairs across the state to get SciTech out there, it's something I hadn't really noticed students doing until this last year or so. But after like talking to somebody at like an event, even like a career fair, if you have a good conversation or anything like that, I've had a few students ask me afterwards to say, is it all right if we connect on LinkedIn? And the first time the student asked me that, it kind of blew my mind. And I was like, oh, that's really smart. Yeah, of course. And then, we would connect either with like business card or just quickly typing your name into the search. But that's another just amazing way, kind of like Lillian and Amma just talked about, is like any kind of interaction like that can be a foot in the door or a step towards a new opportunity to then later connect on LinkedIn and say, hey, it was so great seeing you at the career fair, or, it was awesome meeting with you at the Women Leading in Technology event, like how Amma and I got together the other day. But yeah, all these opportunities are an opportunity to something else that may be down the line. But yeah, so we are essentially at 6 o'clock, and I'm going to real quick put my contact info in the chat. I don't know if Lillian or Amma, either of you are comfortable sharing that as well, but in case there's follow-up questions, you guys for sure can reach out to me about anything. Happy to answer further questions. And just thank you so much for following up, for being here today. And yeah, if you need more, you can reach out to all of us, connect with us on LinkedIn. That's a great first, like at least 4 new contacts. That's going to expand your network. And it's just been so great having you all. But yeah, thank you for joining us. And we will be sharing the recording of this later on SciTech's YouTube, so you can find it there. Otherwise, we'll have it out in the email later the following week. So thank you, everyone.